You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, and today on our last house call of the weekend, we're going to actually tackle 4 questions right now. And the reason is that with these questions answered now, we'll have finished all of the questions that came in through August. So anyone that submitted a question in September now, your questions will be coming next week, and I will absolutely get to all of those in this coming week's house call on the weekend. So let's get right into it because we have 4 questions for today. So Allison is asking, is grass-fed or culturing milk really better than organic or really better than just conventional? Well, let's go through the different types there are. So when you're looking at milk, and hopefully you've listened to my previous podcast on why milk is really not a health food. I mean, it really is not. And when you listen to I think I did like 2 house calls, or not, I shouldn't just say house calls, I did 2 Cabral concepts on this, about really the dangers of drinking milk and how it's not all it's cracked up to be, and certainly not what we've been led to believe. So please go back to those episodes. I believe one episode is 185, and I think it's just titled Milk is Not Healthy, so really straight to the point. And let's see if I can find it in my notes on episode 182, what are some good dairy substitutes, I believe. Okay, so 185 is the main episode to look back at. All right, so let's chat now about if you're going to do milk, how do you make your best choice? Okay, so let's go from least great to best. Now, least great would be conventional. What's conventional mean? What goes into that? Well, conventional is just a regular dairy cow that's fed GMO corn. It's fed GMO soy. It's given lots and lots of antibiotics to keep it from getting sick from a diet that it was never meant to eat. It's also pumped full of hormones like estrogen and recombinant bovine growth hormone. It's kept in unclean conditions. It's kept typically in very tight quarters inside of an actual corral, or it's out on a farm but packed in there with another 1,500 or 15,000 different cows on top of each other, really living in their own filth. And you can see these photos right online, or you can I'm not sure now. I know Food Inc. shows it, but maybe Cowspiracy is another documentary to check out and watch. So that's the worst type of milk. And I can't recommend that to anyone. Besides the casein in milk, and besides the IgE and IgG-based food sensitivities, besides the lactose, all of those things, this is just a really, really sick food source to be given to people, especially children, and especially served cold. There's so many things wrong with milk, I can't begin to describe it. And I grew up in milk. I grew up in milk and drank it by the gallon full until I was probably 25. So I know all about that, all the mucus-producing factors that it can lead to, and allergies and skin issues like eczema and psoriasis. So, okay, moving on. Now, the next best after conventional would be organic. And organic means this, that the cows are fed organic soy, organic corn, organic grains. So you're still getting the grains, you're still getting the high omega-6s, and maybe they're kept in a little better conditions. Organic doesn't mean that. Organic just means that you're getting a feed that was given to the cows that's organic, but they can still be kept in the same deplorable conditions, the same filthy-based conditions where they're being milked as well. So you're getting the bacteria and the pus and the dirt and the feces and all of those things mixed in. And I'm only saying this because that's the truth. I mean, that's the bottom line, why they have to pasteurize milk and why they have to really heat it at such a high temperature to kill all this bacteria. And when they still do cultures of milk, they still find this bacteria, which is obviously pretty disgusting. So organic, is it better? Slightly. you're getting non-GMO foods. So yes, that is better. Now, I can't go too long because this is a house call episode, but essentially they do this with eggs too. Like organic eggs doesn't mean it's good. Pastured eggs is much better. Vegetarian feed does not mean it's good either. It just means that it's fed, again, soy and corn. Those are vegetarian-based feeds. All right, let me get to the last part. Grass-fed. Grass-fed would be the best, or pasture-fed. That means that the cow is most likely, but not necessarily, allowed to graze out in the fields, and it is eating what it's supposed to be eating, which is grass and like other things within the field itself. So the downfall of grass-fed is sometimes it's not grass-finished. Now, there's like literally these companies try to get away with everything. The last 3 months, sometimes a cow is grain-finished. So you have to see green-finished or grass-finished, because if not, it means that to fatten up the cow before it's being slaughtered or for milk or whatever it might be, they are giving the cow grain and just to put on more weight than grass, because grass-fed is the cows stay leaner. And I got to experience this and see this when I was overseas firsthand. You can actually see the ribs of a cow. It's amazing. It looks nothing like the cows here in the U.S. and some in Europe. So grass-fed is absolutely better. You're getting far more omega-3s, a better omega-3 profile, and that is that. So in culturing, there's really no difference. We're adding bacteria to then the whatever the milk is based on. So what the difference too with that is that you're taking out the lactose, right? So there's no sugar necessarily in it if you completely culture it, like in a yogurt. For the most part, it's lactose free. So hopefully that answers your question, Allison. And up next is Amy. Amy asks, can I do a detox if I have low thyroid? So I've actually replied back to Amy personally in our private Facebook group, but I did want to get back to her now as well. And I believe that this is a very common question. So really important. Again, I'm just here to give you the truth. You should not be going on a very long intermittent fast or anything like that with low thyroid, because it can slow your metabolism to a greater degree. And I know Amy's had issues with that in the past. So here's what I recommend. If you're doing something just say like the Dr. Cabral Detox, and it's a 7-day, 14-day, or 21-day, you're actually only going to do the first 2 days of the fast, where it's the 2 days of the detox, so that you get the full benefits. Because remember, a lot of times with Hashimoto's or low thyroid, it's actually an autoimmune based issue. I know the bottom line is like you have to clean the blood and you have to be able to get rid of these toxins, and then you have to seal the gut so that the immune system isn't going haywire and reacting to all these different proteins in your bloodstream. And it's kind of like a catch-22. You don't want to do too long intermittent fast, but at the same time you have to create this thing called autophagy to clean up your blood. So I recommend 1 to 2 days of the initial shakes only fast days, and then even if you're doing the 21 days, which I know Amy's going to do, the next days, basically days 3 through 21, you're actually not going to do any fast days in there. You're going to do the shake for breakfast, you're going to do your vegetarian based lunch, you're going to do a shake in the afternoon, and then you're going to do a paleo style dinner, and that could be vegan, vegetarian, or paleo. And again, those are all spelled out on the instructions. They're actually just on the website. You can go to drcabraldetox.com and it's there for free, absolutely free, so you can check it out. So that's how I recommended Amy to do it. And if you have low thyroid, that's how I recommend it for you. Will you get as much weight loss? No, but you'll be a whole lot healthier because of it, and you'll still lose 5 to 10 pounds, no problem at all. So the thing is, with low thyroid, you have to make sure that you're not dropping that metabolism even more, and that's the best way to do it. Of course, individual results will vary, and some people might not even be able to do 1 or 2 days of the intermittent fast. They might only be able to do the 12-hour overnight fast and then just go right into the shake for breakfast, vegetarian lunch, shake in the afternoon, and then the paleo style dinner. And again, vegan can be paleo as well. Like it's still whole foods. That's really what we're talking about. Okay, this is a perfect follow-up to the detox. Brittany's asking, what do you mean by an elimination diet? Well, elimination diet is this, Brittany. So a lot of people are asking this question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create essentially the elimination diet that we use in our practice, but create it for online so that you don't have to necessarily talk with myself or our nutritionist or anyone like that to be able to follow it. So I'll work on that, and obviously it's going to be called our elimination diet, so you'll find out. But let me give you the food. So let me tell you exactly what they are. So we eliminate gluten in all of its forms, yeast, dairy, soy, corn, and we typically eliminate, now it depends on the person, nuts, eggs, and alcohol. Now, alcohol, of course, is not a health food, but it's also a great prebiotic for feeding good and bad bacteria. I don't really recommend it for anyone, but I work with a lot of digestive-based people, and it's like it feeds bacteria in your gut like you wouldn't believe. So obviously that's not a good one. A lot of people aren't necessarily sensitive to alcohol as a food sensitivity, but they are obviously not allowing for detoxification when they drink, and it does feed gut bacteria that we don't necessarily want. So those are the foods that you're eliminating. The ones like why I hesitated, why I paused, because I didn't know if I wanted to give it to you, but I'll give you the full thing. We eliminate nuts and eggs, especially eggs, believe it or not, because so I do a lot of food sensitivity. Now, here's the bottom line. You can do this elimination diet, or you could actually run a food sensitivity test. You can just go to stephencabral.com/store. It's one of our absolute most popular lab tests that people order all around the country. And all you do is literally do a little finger poke. You put a couple drops of blood on the card. We do it for children at 6 months old. We do it for adults. You name it. And you get to see your food sensitivities from an IgG perspective. So that's a great way to do it. If not, you can follow the foods. Now, why do we eliminate those foods? Because, again, I do food sensitivity testing, and I can look and I can say, like, okay, now 90% of the people who have food sensitivities, it's one of those. So if you're not going to run the test, then you eliminate those. And we also do things like low glycemic diet, low inflammatory foods. It gets pretty in depth, but those are the foods, those are the first grouping of foods that we do eliminate. So Brittany, hopefully that helps you, and I will certainly be back with far more information detailing that diet as well. It's not as hard as you would think, and it's just for 21 days. All right, Emily is up next and last. We're not doing too bad time-wise, so I'm looking at my little clock because I really do, I try to respect your time, and I know a lot of people do enjoy the 10-minute format, so I try to keep it right around there, never over 15 minutes if I can help it. So Emily is up last, and she's asking what to do for reactive hypoglycemia. So what is reactive hypoglycemia? I know I've spoken about this in the past, and although I don't really make notes for the show, I do talk about, I give my list of everything that I've talked about. I know I've talked about hypoglycemia in the past, but what it is it's a drop in blood sugar. So it means that people start to get lightheaded, they get fatigued, they get brain fog, they get moody. Some people call it hangry. It's when they get hungry, but they get angry at the same time, and we get a lot of that. And certainly a lot of people are more prone to it. So who's more prone to it? The ectomorph, the Vata body type. Why? Because they're a sugar burner. That's why there is no one diet for every person. So if you're listening to a guru and they're saying you're supposed to do this diet, well, they would be incorrect because there is no one diet. Now, there is a diet. All humans should eat whole foods, not processed foods, but the macronutrient ratios do differ, meaning like some people do far, far better with carbohydrates. And yes, that may include some grains because a lot of people do great with oats and their cholesterol profile improves. Their overall inflammation levels drop, and they do terrible on a keto-based diet. Again, that would be the ectomorph, the Vata body type. And then the endomorph, yes, they might do a better job towards a keto diet, not in full-blown ketosis, but yes, better towards that. So anyway, reactive hypoglycemia, I see it a lot in my practice dealing with adrenal fatigue. So the issue is this. How do we fix it in the short term? Well, here's what we do. We make sure that the person is eating every 2 to 3 hours and they're having smaller meals because large meals could spike that blood sugar and then drop it down even more. So we're talking about small meals, about 2 handfuls of food every, let's say, 2 to 3 hours. And again, how do you know? Well, you're going to start to feel just that little bit of a dip, but if your stomach still feels full, you're not going to eat. So 2 to 3 hours. Some meals are obviously easier to digest than others, but here's the other tip, Emily. I know, Emily, this tip isn't for you. I believe it's for your mom. That what you want to do is you want to make sure that there is some protein, there is some healthy fat, and there are some carbohydrates at every single one of those meals. That will keep it more balanced. It will also time release that food into the stomach. So the carbohydrates, if put in first, will start to digest faster, followed by the fat and the protein. So again, not too much, not too hard to digest, every 2 to 3 hours, while you're fixing then your adrenal fatigue. So remember, like we still have to get to the root cause. So my big takeaway for you is I would certainly run a hair tissue mineral analysis at least to find out what is going on with your electrolytes, which is so much to do with your adrenal glands. And then again, if you never get control of low blood sugar, it causes more adrenal fatigue. It's like this vicious cycle. I dealt with it for a decade. So it's like you have to correct the hypoglycemia to correct the adrenal fatigue, and you have to correct the adrenal fatigue to fix the low blood sugar, the hypoglycemia. So fix the low blood sugar first, and then at the same time, that will strengthen your adrenal glands for sure. There won't be as much of that HPA axis dominance, meaning like this constant cycle of producing more cortisol because your blood sugar drops. And some people have to eat right before bed as well. And Emily, that might be the best option for you as well. Some fat and protein right before bed. And in really, really, really severe cases, a person will wake up with sweats or palpitations, and they may actually have to eat a little something during the night as well, just a small portion of food. So that's the place to start. And then, of course, work on fixing the adrenal fatigue. I can't go into all the different nutritional supplements, all the different lab tests right now, but I know that within the next week or two, I'll be talking a lot more about adrenal fatigue. So do stay tuned. And the last one from Dale, and Dale is asking about cellulite and basically, how can you remove cellulite and how to get it not to come back in the future? So that's actually going to be a whole episode, and that is coming next week on our Weight Loss Wednesday. So do stay tuned for that. Thank you once again for everyone tuning into the Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of you listening, and do feel free, as always, to pass on these episodes if you feel they could help. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.